What's up? Welcome to the Wild Carrot Farmstead. I'm Tanya Snyder, and today we're going to make our own Cocoa Puffs. Now, making our own cereal is super easy with minimal ingredients. The only challenge is the time. A lot of things in a scratch kitchen, in a homestead kitchen, isn't necessarily difficult, but it can take time and intention. And what I love about taking time and intention is everybody has that. It doesn't matter how much money you make, what background you come from, where you live. Everyone can devote some time and intention to themselves, for their family. So I thought this would be a great time to share with you how to make Cocoa Puffs. This is actually Sunday evening in our kitchen, and I am prepping for the week. So that way Monday morning comes and we have plenty of cereal to feed our family of 6. We opt not to buy boxed cereal from grocery stores because, long story short, they're really bad for you. They're full of sugar, full of preservatives, full of unnecessary ingredients, calories. They are just not good for you. It's basically candy in a box. However, my kids and my husband love cereal. And since we run a dairy, it is a great way to use the overabundance of milk that comes in off the farm is through consuming cereal. So my solution is to buckle down and just make them a healthy, stripped down, super easy version of the cereal they love so much. And would you believe it if I said there is only 4 ingredients in this cereal? It is a nut butter of choice. You can use peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, whatever butter you use in your home, use that. Then it's cocoa powder and some oat flour and maple syrup. That is it. 4 ingredients for your family. The time and intention it takes to make them is going to make you feel even more gratified when you feed this to your family, knowing where the ingredients came from, that it's simple, that it's not harming your family, it's nourishing them, and is a much healthier option. Let's go ahead and get started. I have some in the oven right now, actually, that we will be able to pull out and look at. And we can make them together as well, because I have a couple batches ahead of me that I need to make. The hardest and most time-consuming part of this recipe you will soon find, and I shouldn't even say hard, time-consuming, is cutting up the dough and rolling them into that all-familiar cocoa butter round ball. So actually even bringing this recipe together is super simple. It's a matter of just blending the 4 ingredients, making a dough, and then rolling it into balls and baking it for 10 minutes. Okay? You can do this. I like to start by adding our nut butter and our maple syrup together, and I mix that up into a nice consistency, so then when we add our powders, they will blend better. So let's start off with, 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. I prefer adding that before the butter because it adds like a nice liquidy landing space in the bowl for the butter. So it doesn't stick as much to the bowl. I like that. So again, 3 tablespoons, real maple syrup. Because if you're using a flavored maple syrup, a fake syrup, that's all corn syrup. So you're kind of like not doing this recipe any justice by just using corn syrup. So real maple syrup, that's 3 tablespoons. Now we're going to add 3.5 tablespoons of our nut butter of choice. We are using peanut butter in this family because, well, I love peanut butter. So let me grab that. All right, so we have 1 tablespoon going in, and 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons and a half. Now this recipe, when it comes down to when it's time to roll out your dough, you want it to stick together and roll into a ball and hold there. So after you add your ingredients, you may find that your dough is too dry. It might be a little crumbly. Add a bit more maple syrup. If your dough is too wet, add a little bit more cocoa powder or flour to it. It's just like making bread or any other dough. It's a little bit intuitive, so adjust it as you need, but it's super flexible and forgiving. I already know that for me, this recipe tends to be a little bit on the dry side, so maybe it's more 3.5 tablespoons of maple syrup to 3.5 tablespoons of nut butter. Again, use your best judgment and adjust as needed. I'm going to go ahead already and add a little bit more syrup at the time because I think it'll need it. I make this often, that's how I do it. All right, now that our butter and our syrup is in our bowl, we're going to stir that together. And it takes just a second, but once you get going, you'll see that that syrup actually incorporates pretty easily and quickly, and it will just thin out your butter and all incorporate into basically one nice loose peanut butter or nut butter sauce. So we're just gonna stir this up. As you can see, it's already coming together. Pretty easy, pretty quick. Can you believe we're almost halfway through this recipe? So cool. We do a lot of scratch baking here, a lot of scratch cooking. People ask, what do we eat every day? I don't share a whole lot of that because we eat super simple. The simpler we can eat with the fewest amount of ingredients, we have found for us is the most economical, beneficial, healthiest, nutritious, and practical way to eat our farm fresh foods off of our farm. So like a grilled meat and a vegetable, that's how we eat dinner. We grow and raise what we can. So though we are a scratch kitchen and try to grow and raise all of our food ourselves, I am not one to teach very complicated recipes. It's kind of something I'm against because I want you all to feel empowered and confident that you can do this. I am not going to ever give you a recipe that has a gazillion ingredients in it, makes you feel overwhelmed, makes you not even want to begin eating healthy or feeding your family better food options. So anything I share with you is going to be simple, almost mind-blowingly simple. That's this. Again, it's insane that we can make cereal with 4 ingredients, yet the stuff we buy at the stores has like 34 ingredients. So here's what this is gonna look like. See, it's all creamy, beautiful. Now we're going to add our oat flour into this as well as our cocoa powder. And then we're gonna stir that up, check out the dough, roll it out, cut it, and bake it for 10 minutes. So let's go ahead. Here's my cocoa powder. You all know about Azure Standard. They're our favorite grocery option. If you don't know, it basically cuts out a middleman, puts kind of the power of the grocery shopping experience into your hands, because the semi truck that delivers the groceries you ordered comes right to a pickup spot, and then the community helps unload the groceries and then you take them home. Therefore, they're more affordable. It is always in bulk and always healthy, organic options. There's no crappy, for lack of better terms, food from Azure. I love their cocoa powder. This is what we're using here. This is 2.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder. This is kind of a heaping tablespoon, so we'll count that as 1.5. And then 2.5. Our last ingredient of the day, I'm looking at my recipe card over here. Here, I'll show it to you. It's super simple. Our last recipe of the day is the oat flour, and we are going to mill our own oat flour. That is something else we do. If you don't have a mill, I understand. They're expensive. It's an investment. Don't go out and get a mill to make flour for cereal. Just get some oat flour, girl. It's okay. So let's go mill our flour and then add that to our recipe so we can get to rolling this cereal up. So here's my grain mill, and I use a Como, and they make other brands too, but I really like this one. You essentially put the grain in this bowl and it grinds it and comes right out this chute into like a cup like this. And here you can see where the grain goes in, and it just drops down and grinds it just like that. So let's get to it. It's a little loud, so hold on to your horses. Here we go. Again, you can buy store-bought ground oat flour already. This is just how we do life on the farm here. And it's that quick. Do a little bit more here so you can see. It off here. All right, now we have the flour we need for our 4-ingredient cereal. See how a mill just makes it so much powdery and soft. So beautiful. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? All right. Now, I don't know how much I made. So we're after 2/3. 2/3 cup. Yeah, this is a 1/3 cup. So we're going to add 2 of these. Oh, it looks like I made almost just enough. Look at that. All right. That's a little over 2/3. We may have to add a bit more syrup since I just added too much flour. We shall see. It's okay. Now we're just going to add that into that butter, nut butter syrup mix. And it comes together pretty quickly, pretty easily. We're about, I don't know, what are we in, like 10 minutes into this recipe. So again, not terribly long, still going strong, still feeling confident. All right, now mix it a while because at first it is gonna seem dry. But you need to kind of keep mixing, and as you keep mixing, that dough will start to kind of roll around and stick together. That's like what you're after. See how it's kind of rolling and wanting to stick on itself now? And now that I'm looking at this, this looks about right. And as I stir, this ball kind of starts to form. My last check on, is my dough right, is I'll pick it up and kind of give it a squeeze and make one dough ball out of it and see how that forms. I can already tell this is great. Great, great, great. So here's our Cocoa Puff DIY homemade cereal dough. Now that our dough's done, we're gonna split this into 4s and remember making those Play-Doh snakes as kids? We're gonna make snakes with them and then cut them up into little balls and put them on some parchment paper or silicone mat. And here we go again. I know I've said it a few times, bake them for 10 minutes at 320 degrees. Now listen, that 320 degrees, when you pull them out, they might still be soft. Let them be. As they cool and dry, that moisture will leave and they will be the crunchy, light, crispy Cocoa Puffs. You can burn these, so don't over bake them. 10 minutes is all they need. Let them sit out and cool down and make another round or just go do something else and then check on them. So here's our dough. And this is how I do. I cut it once one way and once the other way. That gives me force really nicely. All right, so let's make our first snake. Let's scooch these out of the way. And again, you're just gonna roll it like you did as a kid across your surface. I find that you don't even really need to flour your countertop or anything. It doesn't really stick if that dough's made right. And we're gonna do them to about 1/2 inch in diameter. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just some little Play-Doh snakes Don't overthink it. Okay. And now, again, any kind of tool. A knife. This is like a scraping tool. I use these for a lot of different things for cutting soap. So then you're just going to, every quarter inch, half inch, give it a chop. Chop your snake up. And you'll get into a groove and you'll get to going, and this will be done before you know it. This is the part I'm telling you that, yes, is a little tedious, is a little laborsome as far as like just, sitting here and having to do this. But you know what else is a great idea? Your children, if you have them, your husband, your wife, get someone to help you. We're all about community living, not self-sustainability. So get your kids. They love doing this. Mine are outside playing right now, so I can film this YouTube. Trust me, if we weren't filming right now, they would be in here making their cereal for the week with me. And that's a great time to bond, to teach them how to do this, to instill the why of why we do this, the benefits. It also teaches them some hard work. We love teaching our kids, to work for what you want. Also, eating this way is coupled with the lifestyle. We eat, but then we burn by making our own food. So we make it, we eat it, we make it, we eat it. There's an energy exchange happening. When we just buy our food, you're missing out on that part. Like, I am kind of sweating right now. I'm getting a little bit of a workout, not like we still work out in our gym in the basement and farm, to get those intentional workouts for our body in. But you get what I'm saying. There's still a body in motion going on from making our own food. Just the way I feel like God designed it. So get your kids involved. Talk to them about that. All right, so here's my next snake. I've done one. One snake made me 3, 6, 9, 12, 16 balls, maybe about half a cup of cereal, to give you an idea. So maybe this makes about 2 cups of cereal in a recipe to give you an idea if you should double it, triple it, whatever. These, because there's no preservatives in them, we store them in an airtight container and they keep for the week. So every Sunday, if we're going to have cereal, I will make it after church. And then by the time it's consumed, they're not even bad yet, because I know how much my family will eat in about a week's time. So I make that much. So then when they're gone again at the end of the week, I make more, and we don't have to worry about them going bad, going stale. They get consumed, no problem. So even an expiration date for us isn't really even an issue. So keep that in mind for how much of this you want to make or feel like you need to make. I'm just taking each little segment now and again, rolling them into a ball. Really, you wouldn't even need to roll them. You could just, leave them as these little like squares. It really almost has nothing to do with how it cooks, the shape of them. It's more like, I would say, aesthetic. This might make your family associate, especially if you're new to making scratch food. They might have a better time trying these if they look like something they're familiar with. So you decide what shape you want to make, if you want to fuss with turning them into balls. They are kind of nice to eat as a ball shape as well, but honestly, this other shape, just a little rough little square, would be just fine. All right, so I'm gonna finish up making these, and you want to work kind of quick, because I will say this dough kind of will dry out pretty quickly, but the heat of your hands and probably the oils on your hands reactivates the oils in the butter and will help. But if you wait too long or take too long, you will notice like a bit of cracking in your cereal snake here. So I'm going to finish these up. I'll show you from kind of over my shoulder what this looks like if you want a different angle, and so you can get a better look. So let me cut this up, and then I'll switch this camera over to over my shoulder so you can see from that angle too. Okay, so here's my last quarter of dough. And like I said, it's getting a little bit on the dry side. So I'm going to kind of like warm it up with my hands and melt some of that butter back down again. And again, don't overthink it. We're just making a snake. Rolling it out. And this last snake of the day can be kind of tricky. All right. Oops, got a little guy in there. Again, I'm rolling these out to about 1/2 inch in diameter. See what I'm saying? How it will like start to split like that? That's okay, just kind of like mold it up. It'll be totally fine. Just stick it back together. We're just cutting it and rolling it into more balls, so it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing has to be perfect. We're human. All right, there's our little snake. And now, like I said, we're gonna take this and just cut it. And I don't even try to be precise with this. There's something really beautiful too about handmade and how there isn't perfection in them. You know what is in it? Love. No one is going to be looking at your cereal and sizing up and making sure every little ball's perfect. And if they are, well, that's rude. There. Now let's get these on some parchment and on a pan so we can get them baking. I'll finish these up and come back in just a second. All right, before we start baking our other ones, I want to show you that these ones are done. Here they are. Aren't they so cute? How pretty. We're going to get them in a container. Here, I'm going to show you. Oh my gosh. You guys are like little brownies. So good. All right, now since this is my second batch, I'm going to use the same parchment paper that I used, but other than that, you know, if you're on your first batch, lay out your parchment paper, preferably unbleached, so brown parchment or a silicone mat, and we're just gonna space them out like so. Come here, little guys. Come here. The main thing is I just don't want them to touch. Don't have to be perfect, but try to give them some space here. All right. I will link, or not link, I don't link any recipes, I just give them to you. I will give you the recipe in the comment and descriptions below and the how-to, so make sure you check that out. And please subscribe to our channel if you haven't. We do a lot of shorts. I like short, easy, quick. Again, because I want to show you that we all can do this. If you're not used to a clean, healthy lifestyle, a homestead scratch lifestyle, it can be overwhelming, and I don't want you overwhelmed. I want you to feel excited and empowered and renewed and capable and able. Because in Christ we can do it all. So, we also on Mondays, not every Monday, but I try to do a video on Monday of an instructional of something we showed during the week that was maybe a short. So I like to couple that up, you know, some fun short reel or short, and then give you a full expanded teaching video to go along with it on Mondays. So if you like this, hit subscribe for me. Your support helps us grow. Check us out on Instagram too, the Wild Carrot Farmstead. These are all ready. Let's get them in the oven. All right, in they go. All right, they're done. They cooked their 10 minutes at 320. By the way, look how cute my oven mitt is. It looks like a little house and it sits up like that. So cute. These have cooled and they have lightened up, and they are a bit denser than store-bought cereal, but still pretty light and crispy. A little bit like a peanut butter and chocolate brownie in a way, but with more crunch than that. Now we're just gonna gather these up, and I'm gonna add to the ones I made earlier, and these will store in an airtight container like I had mentioned for the week, if they last that long. These are more filling than store-bought cereal as well. So keep that in mind for how many you're making. And my little balls are kind of big, so you could make them a bit smaller for smaller mouths. My kids tend to like scoop up one ball in one bite. Now all these need is a nice cup of cold milk from your cow, or if you have to buy it, you know, I understand. And they are ready to go. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, this time with me. I sure did. If you try this out, let me know. Drop a comment below. Reach out to me. How did you like it? Did you do anything different? Did you add something to it? What kind of butter did you use? I love chatting about that. Have an awesome day, the rest of your week. I have an exciting week ahead of me with our goats kidding, and spring is coming, so we are extra busy here on the farm. I love you and thank you. Enjoy.